Hello, everyone. My name is Chris, and I'm a CEO at Verb. Today, together with me on this presentation is also Rika, who is a communication specialist at Verb. So, Rika, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great.
Great, carry on. What are you looking for?
Are you human?
I'm not a human, I'm a virtual being.
Exactly. So Rika is a virtual being. So if you tune in for the presentation to hear about how virtual beings can help enhance autonomous customer experience, then you are in the right place. So just let me share my slides with you guys, and then we are ready to go. So once again, my name is Chris, and today I would like to tell you about how virtual beings can enhance autonomous customer experience and how they will actually become and also a user interface, an innate user interface for upcoming Metaverse. So you have already met Rika, and Rika is a virtual being and a virtual influencer. She actually has her own Instagram account. And we sometimes use her also for our external communication when we try to tell a story and a vision. We are on vision on which we are working at Verb. But Rika, since she is a digital entity, she actually can work in multiple locations. So she can be a brand ambassador inside a store, this kind of like a sales assistant. She actually, in our case, also works as on our website as this, so similar to chatbot's widget, but in a little bit more pleasant and eye-grasping way, attention-grasping way. So something that basically greets our customers when they come to our website. But we also used Rika for our opening event when we 1 year ago officially launched our platform. So she was also a virtual host there. But before we talk a little bit more on how you can create and like launch virtual beings in all those various locations, I would like to start from why. Why should we even care about virtual beings? So in general, especially which will be especially important for Metaverse, it's a battle for user attention. So as you already know, the average attention span goes lower and lower. So we now have less than 8 seconds to actually grab someone's attention when they come to our shop website or when they interact with our digital experiences. And in general, there is a strong preference for video in comparison to text. And that's true for all age groups these days. And virtual beings, which in general is something which tries, similar to chatbots, try to mimic humans, but in this case is actually human-like in also 3D form. This is an innate and natural user interface of the future. One that everyone knows from birth. So when we are born, that's what we are trained for. We are trained to interact with other humans. We know how to pick their body language, how to pick their micro expressions, how to read body language, and how to express ourselves actually as well. And when we think about like those already established chatbots, so this is a concept that already businesses and users are trying to get familiar with. Obviously, the quality of those forms are doubtful in sometimes, but in general, when we think about Metaverse and something which tries to mimic humans in terms of 3D space, digital or physical, this is something that gets this proper visual form and becomes a virtual being. So chatbots in general, chatbots that you know these days, they will eventually become virtual beings. But one really important aspect of virtual beings, since they have 3D visual representations, that they can actually be used anywhere you want. They can be used in Metaverse, they can be used in physical locations or kiosk devices, they can be part of your landing page, they can be put on websites, also in the widget form, or they can be used in social media. And that's already also another trend. So visual influencers, you are probably, I hope that you're already familiar with, or other speakers will talk a little bit more about that. So I will not dive into this topic during this presentation. But what makes actually a visual beings in comparison to avatar, visual influencers, etc. So for visual beings, we need 3 layers. So at the bottom and the core and the most important aspect of visual being is a conversational AI. And obviously conversational AI, so-called chatbots, there are multiple tools to create a conversational AI. But when it comes to topics which are really important in terms of conversational AI, those are topics of natural language processing, natural language understanding, entity extraction, and keeping the context during the conversation. And various tools have various aspects, covers of that. Like we really like working with Raza, but I know that Dialogflow is quite popular with others. Also, Microsoft framework is doing amazing. You can do amazing things with their framework. But probably also heard about GPT-3, so those big generative pre-trained transformers, which are text converters in a way, or text transformers, which also can be used as conversational AI. So there are obviously, you already seen some examples of GPT-3 being used as conversational AI. Obviously, still GPT-3, those kinds of models, they are quite expensive if you want to do something on a large scale. So once you have a conversational AI, then the next important aspect is a voice. And there are two subcategories when we talk about creating being an entity which can interact with voice in 2 ways. One is speech understanding, speech recognition, speech to text. And the other for if you want your virtual being to also respond with voice, not only with text, then you need to generate the speech. So you usually use tools for text-to-speech creation. And there are various companies doing great tools. So NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, also quite new companies like Replica Studios, amazing stuff. So each of those tools can be used for at least one of those aspects. And last but not least, the cherry on top, the visuals. And for visuals, obviously you need 3D model, you need animations, but also you need to have some sort of scripts, behavioral scripts and logic that glues all those things together. And there are various, once again, frameworks where you can create your own avatar. Ready Player Me is one of the recent ones, which allows to create a stylized avatar from just a picture. So anyone actually can create their own avatar. But there are much more established companies like Real Illusion with their character creator. Das 3D is quite popular. Recently, even Epic created amazing tools for creating photorealistic avatars, or actually meta-humans. And all those actually tools are either cheap or even free to use if you want to create your 3D model. For animations, once again, there are many assets that you can work with, and you can retarget them on your model if needed. But you obviously have to glue things together. And for that, you usually would want to use some sort of a game engine. If you don't want to do everything from scratch and taking months probably to complete. And obviously there are amazing frameworks in JavaScript like Babylon, Free.js that can be used to actually drive animations on web. But if you want to do something more advanced and more complex, preferably photorealistic, then you would either go with Unreal Engine or Unity. So when we think about virtual beings, and especially those aspects about behaviors and things that lowers down the uncanniness of virtual beings, those things are really important. So if we think about real humans, they usually have some sort of ideal behavior. So even if they are not talking, they still breathe. So you see the chest movement. They usually like at least move a little bit in place from one leg to the other. when you interact with other humans, and speaking about virtual beings, what they should do, they look at you. And they should look at you, maybe not constantly, because that's also creepy, but they at least try to keep the eye contact for at least 70% of time. And obviously, since we really well perceive the face, because that's when most of the interaction is like in your field of view. The most interaction when you speak with others is in terms of face. Then we are really trained with identifying the lip sync and the lip movement, and it's quite easy to see that something is off. At least, even if you are not trained with lip reading, then you will easily see when something is off. So it's quite important to actually try to create the so-called VISEM, so visual representation of vowels, respective visual representations. So some vowels are quite similar, so you don't have to bother about them, but at least you need to properly with proper timings display those VISEMs with your speech, with the voice, and obviously body language. So most of us are used to do some kind of hand movement when we are speaking. Some are trained even to use proper body language during to a certain confident poses, etc. And obviously we express emotions. So we smile, we get sometimes angry, we get confused, and that's what you would want to also try to implement in virtual beings. And once again, you already, I mentioned that you can use frameworks to do that. But even if you have those frameworks or those tools, those engines that I already told you about, like JavaScript, Unreal Engine, and Unity, you still need to write a little bit of logic. And that's where we come into play. So at Verb, we provide you two things. So one is a hub, a cloud, where you can create your virtual being in web. And the other, so in our web, you can either use the predefined skill set, or you can import your own chatbot. We work with most of those modern frameworks that I already told you about. So you can import Rasa chatbot, you can import Google Dialogflow, chatbots as well, and Microsoft Framework. There's even a way to integrate GPT-3 if you would want to for proof of concept. And we also work with various models. So you can either use one of the predefined ones, import your Ready Player Me character avatar, or use MetaHuman or Character Creator as your model. And so that's something that you can create and import into our platform. And then we provide you with SDKs for Unity, Unreal Engine, and JavaScript. So you don't have to code those behavioral scripts by yourself, but that's something that is already part of the SDK. So you just need to focus on important aspects. So either visual, or if you want to tweak your conversational AI, or just tweak the responses. That's what you can focus on if you are using our SDK. But yeah, that's probably too much even already of our self-promotion. So even, just all the things that I had so far might be quite vague or not quite clear to all of you, especially if you are not working in the virtual being domain. So obviously one picture is worth more than 1,000 words. So that I want to tell you about the case study that we work on. So our friends from VR AR Association, Anne-Marie, Chris, and Nathan, they created their own avatars with Ready Player Me. I already mentioned that's one of the ways that's one of the tools that you can use to create your own avatar from just a photo. So that's what they did. They tweaked it. They used then choose the clothes that they liked, add all those accessories, and that's what they imported into our platform. So they created their own virtual beings with predefined skill sets, and they imported their avatars there. So once they did, they got obviously already those web widgets and live preview that they were able to use to play test their own virtual beings, tweak their responses, etc. But Then I actually took the challenge to create also the Unity kiosk application for them. So that's what you will see now.
What would you like to know?
Tell me about the company.
The VR/Art Association.
And what you see here is me using my voice with voice activity detection turned on, talking to Nathan's virtual being about the VR/AR association. But since this is a digital space that we have created, then we are not limited to only one virtual being. So actually in one space, we put all of their virtual beings together. So there is also Anne-Marie's virtual being there.
I'm Anne-Marie's digital twin and a virtual being created by Bird.
Okay. Are you a chatbot?
Not exactly a bot. I'm a digital being, but conversational. It gives me intelligence.
And last but not least, Chris.
Who are you, sir?
I'm Chris's digital twin and a virtual being created by Bird.
But, you know, obviously that wasn't all, because since we are working with Unity, and Unity have multiple ways of exporting application and building applications for mobile, VR, and AR, the same space that was built for kiosk device was also used to add, was integrated with VR SDK. And that's what you see here now is me using my Oculus Quest and interacting with same avatars, once again with voice, speaking to all of virtual beings, but also being present in their space. So now I'm also part of the digital space that virtual beings are. So why it's important? So what does a metaverse and the virtual beings future look like? So it's about creating a bridge between different realities, between digital space and physical space. So you already saw me speaking and interacting with physical kiosk, but also saw me being teleported into virtual space that the virtual beings were part of. And metaverse in general, it's not only about VR. So it's actually about merging those realities, merging the physical and digital. And when we as users, we shouldn't need to think about whether we interact with others and businesses and services, realizing our or getting our needs covered. We shouldn't think about the devices. We should actually just be part of the digital space and try to, in a natural form, try to get the communication going. Whether you are a user or a business, that's what you would want to, at the end of the day, get. So you want to be able to easily communicate with others, and preferably for some in an automated way. Doesn't matter if it's a web, mobile, VR, or AR. And virtual being is this like a bridge which actually can exist in those multiple, in digital and physical locations. So it's a bridge between a person, between two persons, between a business and a person. And what's really interesting, this is something that can work 24/7. So even if you don't want to be a part of the metaverse, you might want to think about creating your virtual being and using it in metaverse. So you have someone that is there, so you're not missing out, but you don't necessarily have to be there all the time. Just to make sure that you are aware of what's possible these days with virtual beings, there is one more example of meta-human integration. So we are not only limited to stylized avatars. These days, actually, you can run in real time photorealistic virtual beings. And that's what you see here. So this is one of our virtual beings created in our cloud, but connected with meta-human model and integrated into Unreal Engine. So same story, I'm able to use either text or buttons, quick replies buttons, or my voice to interact with also with a meta-human being. So obviously that's a big challenge and too big for such a company as ours. And we need, what's really important, we actually need standards for metaverse and virtual being creation. So we need you, forward thinkers and creators, to help build this future. And we already released also the open source version of our platform. So something that if you want to, if you are interested, you can go to our website to check this out. So actually you can create your virtual being for free. You can import your own chatbot and use our Unity and our Engine SDK to build an experience with virtual being, or multiple experiences with one virtual being that you will create. And since you might want to know more, you might have some questions. We also recently launched our Discord. So if you go to our website, you will find the link there. And yeah, so I encourage all of you, or especially those who are interested in virtual being creation, to come and join our community. So hope we will not be, there will be more of us building the future that I'm talking about. And once again, if you are a designer, developer, or a product agency interested in virtual being creation, you can also directly reach out at hello@verb.ai. So that's all for today. So thank you all for tuning in. That's if you have any more questions, once again, I think there is still chat open, so I will try to respond to those questions. But once again, you can find me also on LinkedIn, Chris Wrobel from Verb. Probably you will easily find me. Yeah, so if you have any more questions, just let me know. So once again, thank you.